I suppose you're wondering why we are showing those images of Chaplin's movie, The Gold Rush. That's not only because we are celebrating Chaplin's film centenary. That scene involving Tom Murray as the outlaw Black Larsen trapped by the mountain was the very last scene shot by Chaplin when he made The Gold Rush, more or less 1 month before the movie premiere. The date of the shooting was 1925, May 14th. On the same day, in Bermuda, a baby girl was born named Oona. Oona was born to Agnes Bolton, English-born American writer, and Eugene O'Neill, also a writer, already at the time a Pulitzer Prize winner and future Nobel Prize of Literature. They were married in 1918. Eugene's father, James O'Neill, was a famous stage actor, known for his part as Edmond Dantes, Alexandre Dumas' Count of Monte Cristo, a part he played more than 6,000 times over 16 years. Oona was Agnes, I pronounced the French way, Agnes, and Eugene's second child, born 6 years after her brother Shane. We can see them here in 1926-27 in the Bermuda. In 1928, Eugene left Agnes and his children for Carlotta Monterey, an American stage and film actress. Carlotta Monterey had a link with her future son-in-law, Charlie Chaplin, having met him on several occasions. Here, for example, in the mid-teens, probably 1915, she is seated second from left, just besides Mabel Normand, and Chaplin, obviously, is in the middle. Above all, when she was a companion of Ralph Barton, celebrated artist and caricaturist, and Chaplin's good friend. We can see them here, Ralph Barton, Charlie Chaplin, and Carlotta Monterey, probably in 1927 in New York. Back to Oona. Now, nonetheless, Shane and Oona lived in Point Pleasant, New Jersey, in their mother's home. These photos were taken at this time. She was 13 on this one. This photo is one of the last photos of Oona with her father, taken in 1941 in Tower House. Age 16, Oona moved to New York to study. There she met a young writer named G.D. Salinger, and they dated. At that time, she was more a socialite than a student, together with her best friends that we will see, Carol Marcus, then Carol Sagan, then Carol Masso, and Gloria Vanderbilt. Carol at left, Gloria at right. The main spot in New York at the time was a stock club. In 1942, Oona was elected Deb of the Year for the season 1941-1942. Oona's image began to spread in the American press, which considerably infuriated her father. Nevertheless, Oona asked her father for financial support in order to take theater lessons. Of course, he definitely refused. Not at all discouraged, Oona sets off for Hollywood. There she met and perhaps dated Orson Welles, who is said to have predicted, by reading her hand, that he would marry Charlie Chaplin. Oona found an agent, Mina Wallace, who arranged a screen test with director Eugene Frank, who was engaged in preliminary work on The Girl from Leningrad, a vehicle for his wife Anna Sten. The test has survived, and we will see it after the presentation. This is one image of the test. Aware that Chaplin was in search of an actress to play in his new movie project Shadow and Substance, Mina Wallis introduced Oona to him. Here's how Chaplin remembers that evening in his autobiography. I arrived early and on entering the sitting room, discovered a young lady seated alone by the fire. While waiting for Miss Wallis, I introduced myself, saying I presume she was Miss O'Neill. She smiled. Contrary to my preconceived impression, I became aware of her luminous beauty with a sequestered charm and a gentleness that was most appealing. A few months later only, and just 1 month after her 18th birthday, Oona became Chaplin's fourth wife on June 16, 1943. The marriage was set in Carpinteria. The witnesses are Catherine Hunter, publicity relation of Chaplin, and Harry Croker, who was Rex, the tightrope walker in the circus. Immediately, every public appearance of the couple will be published in the press. This is the first public photo after the marriage. This photo shows Oona dancing with her husband and with her stepson, Charlie Jr., who was born only 9 days after her. That's amusing to read the announcement of their birth in the Time issue dated July 6, 1925. Above Charlie Chaplin Jr. In the back, Oona. Not that Oona's mother's name is not mentioned. Oona and Charlie soon started a family with Geraldine, 1944, and Michael, 1946. The following years were marked by Charlie's work on Monsieur Verdoux. Here, the premiere of the movie on April 12, 1947, with Mary Pickford. Also Mary Pickford and Buddy Rogers on the left. Then in 1951, Chaplin directed his last American movie, Limelight. Given her resemblance with the female star of the film, Claire Bloom, Charlie used Oona as Claire's stand-in in one scene. Two more children joined the family, Josephine, 1949, and Victoria, 1951. Sadly, Josephine died 2 years ago. In September 1952, the Chaplin couple and their 4 children left Hollywood separately for New York, en route to Europe and the world premiere of Limelight in London. The Chaplins didn't know it yet, but this dinner at the Soul Club would be the last in America for over 20 years. At left, James and Mia Agee, and Ian Ross, the journalist at right. The whole family crosses the Atlantic Ocean aboard the Queen Elizabeth in the company of other illustrious passengers such as Arthur Rubinstein and Adolph Green, and of course Harry Croker, who accompanied the Chaplins as a publicity man. As Chaplin's return permit was cancelled 2 days after departure from New York, numerous journalists waited for the family at successive stopovers, first in Cherbourg, France, then in Southampton, England, and also in London. Waterloo Station, the Ritz Hotel, right up to the roof of the hotel, where Charlie shows Oona his native suburbs on the opposite bank of the Thames River. A few days after the premiere of Limelight, starring Claire Bloom, here, the Chaplins were presented to Queen Elizabeth II, who had not yet been officially crowned. They spent the following days in Paris for the premiere of Limelight. Chaplin received his second Legion of Honor out of 3. Au revoir, Paris. In November, Oona returned to Hollywood to sell the house and secure Charlie's funds. Of course, she returned alone. Here they are in Geneva airport, waiting for the arrival of their eldest children, Geraldine and Michael. Then the honors continued in Italy, in Rome, still for the premiere of Limelight. Another guest of the premiere was Ingrid Bergman. Chaplin's family's first Christmas in Switzerland and the first outside the USA. In January 1953, Chaplin bought the Manoir de Ban on the shore of Lake Geneva to settle definitively in Switzerland. Social events resumed for Oona and her husband, Zurich for the Limelight premiere, Cannes, Nice, here with Jean Cocteau. In August 1953, Oona and Charles welcomed their first child born in Switzerland. They called him Eugene, Oona's father's name. Eugene O'Neill died 3 months later, without ever seeing his daughter again or answering any of her letters. One paragraph of his last will disclosed it very clearly. I quote, "I purposely exclude from any interest in my estate under this will my son Shane O'Neill and my daughter Oona O'Neill Chaplin, and I exclude their issue now or hereafter born." 3 months after her father's death, Oona Chaplin renounced her American nationality, retaining only the English citizenship she had obtained automatically at birth in Bermuda. In 1957, another daughter, Jane, joined the Chaplin family. Two years later, Annie was the latest female addition to Oona and Charlie's genealogy. The last child, Christopher James, was born in 1962, old enough to observe his father direct his last film, The Countess from Hong Kong, in 1966. The following year, Oona went back to the USA to be at the side of her ailing mother. We can see them here in 1940s. In 1959, Agnes Bolton published a text titled My Daughter's Life with Charlie Chaplin. She died the next year, November 25th, 1968. In 1972, after a stop in Bermuda, where the Chaplins left the children, Oona and Charlie landed in New York on April the 3rd. In the evening, they attended a party held by Oona's best friend, Gloria Vanderbilt. The next day, a tribute was given to Chaplin at the New York Philharmonic Hall, Lincoln Center. Chaplin, always a showman, played the game. Then, on April 10th in Los Angeles, Chaplin received the Academy Award. He insisted that Oona be present on stage and at the photo call that followed. In October 1973, Richard Patterson, for his movie The Gentleman Tramp, shot a modern times-like view of Charlie and Oona in the park at the Manoir de Baum. Charles Chaplin died on Christmas night 1977. Although supported by her lifelong friends Carol and Gloria, Lady Chaplin never got over the loss of the man to whom she had devoted herself. Her name was briefly associated with those of Ryan O'Neal and David Bowie. More significantly, Michael Jackson asked to be introduced to Oona. She accepted in 1988. Three years later, on September 27, 1991, Oona Chaplin passed away. Like her husband, her grave bears neither title nor full birth name, simply Oona Chaplin. Happy birthday, Oona.
Thank you, Dominique.